This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I got an email from Brian who was asking which I choose out of either the Boss Katana or the Line 6 Catalyst. It's been over a year now that the Line 6 Catalyst has been out, and the Katana has been kind of the best-selling amplifier in the world, I think, for quite a while. When the Line 6 Catalyst first came out, I hadn't actually tried a Boss Katana. Like the day after I bought this from Yamaha with some discount, but I think I actually paid about what you can pay for them new now, like around 250 quid, which is kind of bonkers to think what you can get for the money these days. I decided to go and buy a Boss Katana Mark II, like the combo, immediately after, and kind of did some comparisons. What I found at the time was that the Boss Katana was louder, and of course the Boss Katana has more effects, and I thought like the cleans on the Catalyst sounded a little bit more full in the room, and the drives on both I found that weren't necessarily what I was looking for. But in today's video I wanted to share with you why today the answer for me would be that I would buy a Boss Katana. But not just any Boss Katana. Now they make a barrel load of these, different versions. The Artist, you've got head versions, combo versions. I would personally go for the Boss Katana Mark II head. Now again, this is something that they did send to me for free, so bear that in mind. However, yeah, it'd be nice if I was able to tell you Line 6, but for me right now the answer is the Boss Katana for a few reasons. So I guess things that matter a little bit less, maybe build quality, I give the edge to on the Boss Katana. I've taken this out of the house a couple of times. I think the first time I took it away was to the Hope Valley in Sheffield for a little holiday, and put it in the back of the van, and it took a little bit of scraping, like the Tolex isn't super hard wearing. And then the second time I took it out of the house, I think it went forward in the car and a bit of the trim fell off. So not super well built, but again, £250, I guess you're not expecting sort of Mesa Boogie solid build quality. The Katana stuff, on the other hand, I've seen examples, you know, doesn't have Tolex really. It's like this kind of hard-wearing plasticky stuff. You can see images of people that have trashed theirs and they seem to wear a little harder than the Catalyst. The real key reasons for me are that this Katana head, importantly, can be paired with any other speaker. And I have a feeling that since the speaker and cab are quite an important part of the sound, that when you put something in relatively, you know, cheaply built cabinets, that you get a result. And if you were to put it in, you know, just any other cabinet, you get a different result. So I personally either use a Matrix Neo Lite, which is like a ported lightweight cab, or a Mesa Boogie open back cab with a EV speaker in it. And that one's not so lightweight, but it's still, you know, not heavy, like 17 kilos. And I think with the Katana through either of those speakers, I can get really good results. I kind of proved this to myself with the Fender Vibreverb, where I plugged the Katana clean channel into the Vibreverb 1x15, kind of did a comparison with that and was able to get that sounding incredibly close with no tweaking at all. So I think the speaker part of this equation, if you're, you know, thinking about gigging these things and looking for better results, I think the speaker might be one of the places that you want to start, or the speaker and cab. The Catalyst obviously is kind of stuck with the speaker that's in it to some extent because you don't have a speaker out, so you can't really compare things properly with it either. But also the cab itself, I don't think is necessarily the most well-built thing ever. And that's one of the things that I really like about the Katana. Another thing I really like about the Katana is that you've got sneaky amps in there. So although it looks like you've got like 5 amps in there and a variation of each, so 10, actually if you get into the software and watch a few videos, get some other software, there are all of the amps from the GT series, and so I tend to actually now use like a Marshall tone. I think it's like a Marshall Plexi for both my rhythm and my lead, and not any of the amps that are actually on there, but I do use the clean from the actual Katana. That was just because I was able to find some videos on these sneaky amps and gave them a go and thought, yeah, actually those sound more like what I'm looking for. In the Catalyst, you've got what is on there, and basically those are a clean, a Voxy type thing, a sort of boutiquey, dumbly type thing, a Marshallish type thing, and, you know, really heavy amp. I don't think either of them do like the super heavy tones amazingly well, but one other thing is that the Katana, you can EQ it within the actual software or within the preset itself, and for that reason the Katana wins in a big way for me. I think this is the biggest thing of all in terms of tone shaping. A thing I do across all of my modelers is, once I've set up a really high gain tone that has the sustain and stuff that I want, I then shape it with an EQ to bring it basically into the smoother sound that I like. Alan Holdsworth would have called this a trim and a haircut. But yeah, you can use a high cut, or you could boost the lows, or you could boost the mids. You've got EQ, a couple of EQs in here, as well as like a global EQ. That isn't on the Catalyst, and for that reason, I've not found it actually possible to dial in lead tones that I'm super happy with the Catalyst. That like my sound anyway. What I'd have to do to get that is to put an EQ into the effects loop of the Catalyst, and I have tried that, and that did get me much better results. There's also way more effects in the Katana, and way more effects that you can have on at the same time if you're looking for lots of effects. But in terms of options as well, you've got way more options within the Katana, so that's something to bear in mind. as well as, and this is I think a bit of a flaw with the Catalyst, you can control the boost. You know, say you wanted a Marshall Governor type drive with a Fender type clean, you'd do that within the Boss Katana. The Catalyst, the boost is actually specific to each amp model, and you can't change it. You can only kind of turn it up or down. It's a bit of a weird choice, that. Not my favourite aspect of the Catalyst, but yeah, so if you're looking for more flexibility, Katana would be the way to go as well. Both of them have pretty good software, and another thing actually the Katana wins out in flexibility on is the cab section, where you can sort of position the microphone. I can't remember, I don't think you could do that with the Catalyst. I think it'd be good to be able to load IRs onto either of these types of options. That would probably be a good thing. Using the actual top parts of each, as in the panels, is pretty easy. The Katana, the gaps between presets, it does preset switching like seamlessly. The Catalyst doesn't do that, and you won't get like trails between stuff. There's a couple other things. Oh, that's the other thing. Specifically, this model has a speaker built in here, and for that reason, this is a thing that I'll be taking when we go away. So I can use this just as a practice amp with no speaker plugged in. It's perfect for that, and it does mean I don't have to have another practice amp. I think that's a pretty long list of reasons why I would choose the Catalyst right now. I think Katana, it's obviously what I've just told you. It's about £100 more expensive, but I think worth it in this actual format. I think the normal kind of combo format is about the same as the Catalyst. I would stump the extra and go for this version. The other cool thing, if you pair it with, just sit on a microphone stand, that's fine. If you pair it with the foot switch, which they also sent me, you can fully gig these things and not have a bad time at all. So volume, build quality, flexibility, effects included, effects able to run at a time, more amp models, ability to actually EQ the things. For all of these reasons and all of what I said, ability to use it with an external cabinet instead, the Katana for me is the way to go, I think. So hope that helps Brian. Brian had a couple of other questions, I think. Both appear to sound good. The Katana appears to be more complex. If you don't mind getting deep in its effects options, agree to find the tone you want. And I think you're more likely to be able to find the tone you want in the Katana if you've got specific needs. Whereas the Catalyst appears simpler, being able to get what you want from the dials on the panel. Agreed. I've been hearing some of the Katana patches on YouTube being created that emulate popular players' guitar sounds, and some sound really good. Agreed. Have not really come across any for the Catalyst. Does the Catalyst not have the capability to create and share patches? It does, Brian, but I think the reason that you're not getting so much of that is because it's way less possible to actually dial this thing in. If you had EQ on here and stuff like that, I'd be able to do more with it. As it is, I can't actually make the lead tone that I really want to. Hope that helps. Cheers.